Our signal covers nearly all
I'll
of
get
North
this going.
America.
You just
All you need is a view of the southern sky, an affordable receiver, and a dish as small as 30 inches. There are no monthly fees.
Did you hear fine how I have it set up now?
.lrn.fm. Plus, if you're a broadcaster or want to be one, this is a good delivery method for our content.
Okay, so you're gonna want that down now.
And get details at
You wanna come on right in?
sat.lrn.fm. That's sat.lrn.fm.
Promote your book.
Well, it's funny because actually, I told you I was writing my book with you in the background and that nice beat. And it was funny because everything I do, I base on evidence. And it's nice listening to you because it reminds me, okay, that's how I have to speak, you know. So it was nice listening to you today because I haven't heard you because I've been so busy with writing the second book and stuff, and quiet without the beat. So it just reminds me of how I need to speak more about always basing, because that's our main goal. We base everything on evidence. Everyone else is basing on medical rumor, false claims.
Precedent, you know, it's always been done like that, right?
It's all just, and how you said, it's all our conditioning. It's hard for people to hear that.
All right, we'll do a few more segments and we'll have you on.
Yeah, the only other topic I prefer to discuss, of course, is your talk today.
Yeah, I think we've talked about the Ferguson thing.
We close that chapter.
Is it humid?
By the way, the guy that did my eye here in La Jolla, there's a program called Medibid.com where you put your thing out there, what you need to be done, and doctors bid on it, and you pay cash, and it eliminates insurance companies and stuff. And that's how I found this guy, and he was really good. So I don't know if that's anything you want to mention, Medibid.com.
Well, look on. Come on in.
No, he's not going on. He doesn't.
Don't come on the video. Take a mic.
No.
It's almost done too. All right, we're back.
Cut that audio there.
Yeah, welcome back to the No State Project. I'm your host, Mark Stevens, author of Adventures in Legal Land, and of course, Government Indicted, which you can see in the video right there. Calvin, of course, trying to. There we go. We're back. And it wouldn't be the No State Project without some tech issues. But this time, it wasn't our fault. Okay, and you guys should be in here listening to the show. We're live here, Liberty Radio Network. Sit down. We're wandering, guys. The tech issues are over. They kind of missed that. I know you're doing some kind of adjustment there, but we were talking about Ferguson and basically the militarization of the police and how even, I think it's the FBI, we'll have to get that linked out to find that article, but the FBI, I believe, came out with statistics that as violent crime is dropping steadily still since 1994, 1993, that police crimes against us are steadily increasing. So it's amazing that they'd even put that out, a statistic like that. But so we're good. All right. So what we great. We're fantastic.
We're back.
Yeah, we put the candle back. You didn't even. That was not something that you were aware of. You didn't know about that movie until I.
Bride of Frankenstein, right?
No, Young Frankenstein.
Young Frankenstein. Okay, I'm mixing up my Frankenstein movies.
No, it was one of those obscure references. I didn't think so. I said, "Put the candle back," and you had not. And so.
You know, there's many bizarre parts out of that scene too. That's watching that movie. Gene Wilder, something else. I just never consumed too much of his movies, but it was a good recommendation. Anyone who wants to be entertained for an hour and a half, definitely check it out. But
yeah, the Frau Blucher always gets me to this day when the Frau Blucher running gag.
We're getting right back into it.
Yeah. You wanted to talk about a little bit about what I discussed, and for those who weren't there, and shame on you. Were you guys there at my talk this morning?
I was.
You weren't. All right, Rick.
So we're 1 for 7 here. 1 for 8 maybe.
I was here.
There was a lot of people. It was a good crowd. And,
oh yeah.
And I talked about journalism activism and how we not only
for a little bit.
Well, there were a lot of questions.
That's right.
And but it's like a jazz performance. It's not set in stone. I mean, that's where we start. If we end up wherever, but the overall, it was a lot of questions.
Right.
There was a lot of response. You know.
Well, I got to say, you know, I've been filming here for many of the other speakers, and I think your talk was the talk that generated the most feedback from the audience is in the form of questions. I don't think any other speaker had more questions asked than you did. But of course, the material, you know, it's such arcane material. We all know volunteerism, but not everyone knows how to navigate the courtroom and with these bureaucrats, and that's what the body of your talk was about. And so I think, you know, a lot of people got their questions answered and a lot of good ground covered.
Yeah, but I covered the points, of course, about how to be effective as a journalist and the pitfalls not to. So I explained, don't go through the public information officer. Says,
that's right.
Okay, you're not going to get anywhere. And I spent a lot of time talking about the logical fallacies, because when you're engaging them, right, they're going to say things like that. And I get how many calls to the show where somebody will call and say, well, they said that this doesn't apply. What was I supposed to say? And so by going through all that, it's a lot easier for people to know how to respond to that. So I remember someone calling and the judge said it doesn't apply here. I had nothing left to say. What was I supposed to say? I don't know. Ask him to prove it. Why is that true? I should have it up here and have the trivium. And so when in doubt, confirm their position and then ask a how or why question. Why is that true? Can you cite that? Can you prove that? I've even said, you're going to tell me in all these courts, this rule applies everywhere else but here. That's right. Okay, can you cite that? Can you prove? Where is your legal exception to this? I like to see that. And that's why, that's why we go through all that, because so many times people they get a line of BS and they don't know how to respond to it.
You got an opinion, where are the facts? And that's what it always comes back to. You know, it can even be put more simply than the trivium. I mean, you know, all these guys, you're asking the question to back up their opinions, they're going to respond, most likely with the logical fallacy. Hopefully, in the upcoming months here, we could create a series of videos going through each of these logical fallacies and getting people more literate on them. So when you get these logical fallacies in court, they're able to counter them and come back to, well, I appreciate what you said, it's a logical fallacy, but where are the facts? My question is inquiry of facts. Nothing what you said covered any of those facts, so I'm going to have to politely and respectfully re-ask the question, and that's where the art of litigation comes in. So
yeah, and I'm going to have another reference. How many of us here have seen Honeymoon in Vegas? Are you kidding me? All right, there's a part in
3 out of 9.
You're not supposed to give the actual numbers out here. We're trying to make it. Okay. So yes, there's somebody giving a talk, and that's in Libertopia. They went and they all filed out for the talk, and so. But getting to what you're saying, it reminds me of the scene. You probably remember Nicolas Cage is desperate to get the hell away from Mr. Miyagi. He just wants to fly and get back home to save Betsy from being married to Jimmy Kahn. And so Mr. Miyagi is just trying to delay him. And he says, let me tell you something that my great-grandfather said to me. Mana haluke, manuka, maluka, halaka. And he says, you know, that doesn't help me at all, but thank you.
Right. That I can relate to.
And that's really, you know, like, because sometimes you got to sit there and you got to listen to going on. And I did that with one of the IRS calls, going on and on and on and on and on. And okay, but my question actually was, and you have to do that. But maybe what we should do is take something like the Jerry Cobb response and do, that was in writing and I did it on video. But what we can also do is take some of the call shames, and like I wanted to do today, but it was a little too much, is to stop it at certain points and then explain it. So we did that with the psychopath Michael King.
Okay.
So what we would do is add commentary and explain, well, this is why he's saying that. That's why I responded this way, and give people more graphic, you know, demonstration.
Well, just to plug Brian's videos one more time, maybe that's something that we ought to take up. Is you know, an example from him is if we could put up these call shames and videos. Every time there's a logical fallacy, just in big bold letters right on the screen, just identify which logical fallacy is being presented there, so that the viewer can see that, and so when they're in court, and they get the same logical fallacy, boom, they can run right. And it's with an image supported by audio, it's burned into the mind and more recognizable later on, when they might need to recognize an encounter.
Now you seem, what was your name? Paul, you seem to really like that idea.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea because it adds the visual and it recreates in your.
But just come on here, just
All right.
give us the.
Well, why I like the idea is because how people form cognitive development in their brains, actual physical memory, is through repetition. And so, like, yeah, you can hear it, but you don't identify exactly to what it is. So what you were kind of looking for is you're looking for multiple stimulation,
Right.
Not just audio, but you're not looking at visual. I mean, you're not going to get touch over a TV screen or over a radio, but you're going to get those multiple reinforcements, which are going to form that cognitive memory in your mind.
And I think that's one of the reasons why the kinetic typography is so effective. Where, like, one of my favorites is from the Fight Club when they do that,
Yeah.
and they animate it. So you've got the animated text going with the audio, and so even without seeing, the characters, just having the words with the audio is a very powerful effect. Have you seen those?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that it's a more powerful way of doing it. Like, I was listening to you this morning, and I was like, okay, like, I can understand this. I'm not a lawyer, of course, and like, I
Thank
don't know a
goodness.
lot of legalese.
So,
I don't want to be. I mean, I've had people invite me to pay a lot of money to become one, and I was like, why? But at the same time, you need to know how to defend yourself, and there's not a lot of this information out there. One of the things I was thinking about this morning, I'm sitting around there, and I've heard, different questions around, people asking me, and I don't know, about the different, sovereign movements versus actual, maritime or, Black's Law Dictionary, all the different things that people go down the rabbit hole, and I'm like, well, what's what? Because anytime I've been in court, or anytime I've had to help somebody defend from court, it just seems like a bunch of nonsense. I mean, there's no innocent until proven guilty at this point. I mean, they're just yelling at you. So like you were saying this morning, I get it. But then it's like, well, what do you do? Like, there's a lot of